It's Britt.
Hey, so welcome to the couch today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, in your own studios, looking good in here.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Seems like you've had a great last year since you've signed to Boosie. Tell me what that's been like.
Oh, the last year has been crazy. So in the last year we went from like living on a bus to living in his treehouse to living in an apartment and some Airbnbs to like now the full 12 months later, we have $1 million condo in Buckhead and I have my own studio and it's just like night and day from day one to now.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been signed with him? And, how do you have like an official contract? And tell me what Boosie's role is.
Yeah, I'm signed to Badazz, and I've been signed to Badazz for I think about 10 months now. It took some time to process the paperwork once we first got the deal situated. So about 10 months that I've been signed, and it's been really great. Honestly, like my relationship with the Badass Music Syndicate has really grown in that time. So like when I go there now, I feel like I'm at home. Everybody knows who I am. I know who everybody is. You know what I mean? Like day one, it was a little weird because you don't know the people. Like it's a whole lot of people. So there's gonna be like some tension, some awkwardness.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
So you do have an official contract?
I do have an official contract, signed, sealed, delivered, done.
Nice. And so is Boosie acting as a label or tell me about that?
So it's kind of confusing to most people, but really more so like the Badass Music Syndicate is kind of a management firm. And so there's always the possibility or the desire to maybe sign an artist under the label to a major label, through Badass Music Syndicate, who is managing the artist. But they also do things that labels do as well, like distribution and like, creative, like directing, that kind of thing. So it doesn't fit in a box. Yeah.
So let me ask you now, what are some cons to being signed to a notorious rapper like Boosie Badazz? We've seen him over the years in the media for doing both positive and negative things, but one of the things he is most known for is some of his legal troubles and some of his rhetoric. So what is it, what are some of the cons of being signed to Boosie?
I don't think that there are cons. I think that there are like causes and effects. I think labels are scared of Boosie. I said that in the Vlad interview. The labels are scared to deal with Boosie. And like that's just like a perception issue, you know what I mean? But also like there are people that are constantly like trolling us, they're in the inbox, they're in the comment section, they're like talking about whatever the hot topic is of the day with Boo. And it's always something going on because, he can never even like breathe without somebody saying that he's being controversial. And so like at the end of the day, I expect it. I have my own fair share of criticisms. Like everybody has their own share of criticisms from the public to their public persona. And I think that like how you deal with it is highly intimate and like that's for him to know.
Mm-hmm. So how did Boosie impact your life? Like what made you sign with him? Was it that you listened to him growing up? Like how did you become familiar with Boosie Badazz and his music?
Yeah, the thing about Boosie and his presence in my life is that like from a very, very early age, I remember hearing him on the radio, and like Wipe Me Down was such an anthem. Like I was in a facility when it came out. Me and a ton of other young kids. And we really connected with this idea of like a troubled youth. And that's what he was. He was like 15, 16. He was one of us, He was in legal trouble. It was just we connected with it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I could do this. I could take this negative thing that I'm, going through right now and turn it into like something bigger through music, through being creative. And so he was one of the first people to influence me. Like we were able to watch BET on Sundays or Saturdays. And his videos would be on BET and we would all just like go crazy and throw like throw the pillows, the institution pillows across the room. You know, we got crazy. So yeah, he influenced me massively. I even tried to sound like him in the beginning of my music career for a little while, which I will never reveal those recordings.
While you cannot attest or speak for other members that are signed to the Badazz Syndicate label, what is your take on this Bleu Boosie situation?
I think it's unfortunate. I think that Bleu and Boosie started off in a very similar way that me and Boo did, as far as like him believing in the talent and like truly wanting to invest everything. And I think that Bleu, in the beginning, probably, you know, did a really good job of like reciprocating that with appreciation and putting the effort in. But I think that at some point, like, it's inevitably going to get hard. And I think the true measure of character is whether or not, you know, you can stay loyal in that moment when maybe the relationship is no longer financially beneficial, you know, for you. Even in that moment, if you know it's going to change later, or you don't know what the future is going to be. You know, I think like stepping into it with loyalty will give you such an advantage when dealing with it. But I feel like maybe Bleu was like really needing to feel like he was accomplishing something at the time. And I think that drove him to try to create like loopholes and figure out how to get out of it. The problem is that like, even if that is the case, you gotta come to Boosie and just like explain, like, that's how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? But instead what happened was he ended up going to other people and creating this little inner circle within the network. And I just feel like ultimately he felt bad for it. I think that he knows he fucked up, you know, and he wanted to make it right. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes things can't be made right without like just giving over to the situation and saying, bro, I fucked up and I'm sorry. And even if I can't make amends financially right now, here's my hand to shake and say, hey, yo, we can make amends in the future, and I'm going to, you know, pursue that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm making an active, you know, effort to do so.
Right.
But I think that Bleu skipped that. I think that, you know, Boosie got tired of being ignored. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when you ignore the situation. Like, it escalates.
Do you think that young Bleu has said anything in his response to Boosie that may apply to your relationship with Boosie?
He said he got receipts. He ain't got me in those receipts. He ain't got no receipts on Common Tribe. He said that the other artists are struggling, that Boosie doesn't support his artists, that he's a bad CEO. And like, I can't speak for anybody else, but from my experience, like, everything Boosie said he was going to do for me, from day one, he did it. Even more sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, there were occasions when we needed food just to get us past like a point. And like, we were, hey, we need help. And he always sent more than we asked for. Mm-hmm. He's always paid for everything when it was music related. And I've come to him and I said, hey, we need this budget for this video, or we need this to get, you know, this deposit to secure this venue. We need this money to pay our rent. He's never turned us down.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, with that being said, he's been there for you in this last year. Looking forward to the future, how do you feel you and Boosie's relationship will develop? And how do you feel it will, you know, come to an end?
Well, I think that we're just beginning to like get to know who each other is. I think that I'm finding that we share a lot of commonalities and grew up very similarly. And I think that I look forward to like seeing how that expands into like a real relationship versus like just CEO talent relationship. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't like to mix too much business with pleasure, but I do want to be friends with the man who pulled us from like where we were before and brought us to this level. Mm-hmm.
So then what do you think is to come with your relationship? I kind of asked that already, but do you guys have any projects in the works, or what's going on? What's next?
Yeah, the first album dropped like 9-10 months ago. We're over 30 million streams, so we're really happy with that.
Congratulations.
This next project is coming out. Thank you. The next project that's coming out is called The Mud, and it's, you know, really indicative of like where we came from, like struggling, getting it out of the mud. So the whole album has these vibes of like conquering life situations. That should be dropping in the next 30 to 60 days. We're still like working out the final details right now. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a huge project. We have like Grammy Award winning producers, like Grammy Award winning writers. It's insane. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we can't wait to hear what comes next. And thank you for coming and gracing our couch here in the studio.
I had to say hello as your first guest. Oh shit, it's Britt. I coined it because she wasn't gonna let me do that, but I did it just now. Y'all heard
shit,
it.
It's Britt.
Oh shit, it's Britt.
All right, and well, you guys don't forget to go stream Common Tribe on all platforms: Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and don't forget to look out for the next album, The Mud. Nice.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So thank you guys so much.